right, good morning. We'll get started in a couple minutes, and I want to just make some comments generally. So we know that there is what we can do to keep ourselves healthy is to get sleep. So if I were to prioritize what you want to be doing in what order, we want sleep first, right? You want to make sure you're getting plenty of sleep. So don't get up early to go and exercise. I'd rather get the extra sleep if you need the sleep. Go to bed earlier, do a digital shutdown, let go of the day and go to sleep earlier because your body's going to need sleep to stay healthy. You want to be hydrated, so make sure you're drinking the water. Hot lemon water's great. I add for myself cayenne, a little bit of maple syrup in there, and just a tiny bit, but that's a nice electrolyte. So remember those basics and then add in the others. Don't stress yourself out needlessly to try to go get a workout or do something just to do something. Just really focus on the basics right now and keep nourishing yourself in a healthy, good way. All right, so what we're going to do today is focus on rolling out the calves. We're going to hit the shins a little bit. So if you're a runner or you've just taken up running or going on walks in hills, maybe just to get out of the house a little bit by yourself, right? Or whatever the social, we want to be aware of this. This is kind of important. So while we want to be connected still, we also don't want to be, we have to assume we're a carrier, assume that someone else is a carrier as well. So just be aware of that. I've seen a lot of people out at the parks, kids playing on the equipment, and while it's not like we should have totally, we just have to be mindful. We have to be mindful. We're seeing a lot of that, and we want to curtail that contagion, right? So just assuming that piece. We've got lots of allergies right now, so just being mindful. Okay, so with that said, I had a couple reports of shins being really sore and feeling like they had shin splints or plantar fasciitis, so I'm going to address that today. And we're going to look at what you can do using a simple tennis ball and a foam roller. So one of the things that I start with is, of course, rolling and then stretching. So if you have a roller, I would definitely say start with the roller. The tennis ball hits a little bit more on points, so it hits trigger points a little bit more, and it might be a little bit difficult or uncomfortable at first. So I'm going to show you on this the meaty part, so the bigger gastroc. This is the bigger part of the calf muscle. What we're going to do is go through a rolling pattern on one side and then to the other side. So we want that meaty part. And once you've found a couple spots, you can actually just roll through this, but we're going to do movement. So we want range of motion through that calf. So for example, let's say you are on a spot that is tender. What you'll do is stay on that spot and create range of motion with the next joint around there, which is your ankle. And your ankle is a mobile joint, so we want to start moving the ankle. And what that will likely do is start to create either release in that point that you found on your calf. So if you can see that. And so you want to go through that. And after about 10 to 30 seconds, that trigger point that might feel like a zinger should start releasing. So I've definitely found a spot, and hopefully you're doing this with me. And you're wanting to do range of motion through the nearest mobile joint. So that's going to be your ankle, right? The knee is a stable joint, so we don't need to do too much moving. That's really not going to affect that spot. What is the next mobile joint, because that's pulling on the tendons, right? So we've got these levers kind of in our body. And so we want to have those smoothly moving as opposed to grinding on each other. So if you kind of get that as a visual. All right, so there's that big muscle, and we can just spend some time on that calf. You want to go along there. I'm actually going to bring your attention to just above that point of the calf and up underneath that knee. That's actually where we're going to put the ball. But I want to get to the ankle a little bit and make sure we roll that. So you're going to roll the ankle. So solely as to, you want to have that rolled as well. And you can feel all the muscle. Rolling is only done on muscle tissue, never bone, right? So if you find that you're hitting something and you're going numb or it's tingling, you probably have hit nerve or it's pressed up against a bone. So you don't want to be doing that. We're not trying to create pain. We're just trying to release the muscle tissue there. Okay, so once again, anytime you get the opportunity to do a little bit of range of motion with that, do that. Make sure the rest of your body is relaxed so you're not jacking up your neck or anything in that movement. Okay, so that's a back part. It's pretty simple. You can roll any tissue all the way along there. Definitely with the calf. For plantar fasciitis, what happens oftentimes is all the tissues at the feet get pulled. And if you were to take the skin off, you would see all these tissues and ligaments, and if it's bound up, it's really painful. So we do want to get all of that rolled. And right now the roller is just a little bit easier than the tennis ball. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to show you on the front what that looks like. And then we'll hit that specifically. Actually, I'm going to pull this out really quickly because I want to show you this point before I forget. Up in the knee, a lot of times, so that attachment point, if we go right up on the outside, then we find that attachment point. A lot of times that is super tender for people. And that tends to cause the calf and all of this tissue in here to get locked up. So as we were talking yesterday, if you pull on one area and it gets bunched up, the pain can actually, the radiating pain can be all the way up through here, and we could think, oh, it's coming from here, when actually the source of that pain is right up in the original, that source point is bunched up and bound up. And oftentimes this is the source point because knees get overused, especially runners, because they're pounding on it, but you've got a lot of opportunity for binding right here in this joint, and this simple movement of putting the ball right there, finding the spot, and you'll know. I've already got one nice little spot. So it's about a 6 on the pain scale. We don't want to really get to 8, 9s. Those are kind of high. You want to watch that. So see if you can gather around there. We're not trying to cause pain. And I guess pain's all relative for people, but you know, you're not trying to make yourself suffer. You're trying to get relief. So and already, so just in talking and doing the rolling, that 6 went to a 2. And that's ideally what you want to have happening. That's why you want to use these as tools, because you want to take those 6, 7s down to 2s to 0s, right? And now as I'm moving through there, I'm finding other spots. There's another 6, and then do the range of motion work. Make sure you're breathing and staying relaxed. Yep, and it went all the way down very quickly, and that's in seconds. So I'm hoping that you're experiencing that same type of thing with just using this simple tool. So now I'm going to move this on the front. On the same side, it's that insertion point where that tibia comes up into, so the lower part of the bone comes up into and attaches at the knee. And there's another spot. There's a nice little spot, and if you found one, stay on the spot. So what happens when you find a spot that is your trigger point, you don't want to run away from it. You want to stay on it and bring it down to a 0, right? Bringing it down is essentially, if you've pushed a button, you kind of triggered it. So we want to untrigger it. We want to release it. And that's kind of a little method. So there's lots of them. You can find and just spend just on that lower part of the leg 5, 10, 15 minutes rolling that out. And when you get up and start walking around, you're going to feel very different. Your whole body will feel different. Your feet will feel more invigorated. Calves, knees feeling good. So I'm finding lots of trigger points. I haven't done this one for a while, and I'm finding lots of trigger points. You may be as well. And we just think of the principles of, if we trigger something, we want to bring it down to a 0. If we hit an area, if we hit an area that is attached to the next nearest point is that mobile joint. So for example, the hip or the ankle, move the joint. So right here where I've got near my shin, so this is another one right on for shin splints, is to move then that calf. And what's really interesting is when you're moving, you can feel the radiating pains, and then you can trace it down from the energy or the sensation of the pain. You can trace down how the body is so connected. I can feel with the tennis ball right at my shin, I can feel that pain wrapping around the big part of my calf all the way down to the middle of my foot. This is why it's so important to understand your body and understand with plantar fasciitis, it could be coming up from the gastroc up high in these insertion points at the knee, pulling because it's puckered up there, it's puckered at that knee. And so we're shortening at the plantar fasciitis at the foot, right? So it's so cool, this whole matrix of the body. And if you play with this a little bit and start to get to know your body, you're gonna have so much more relief and feel a lot more in control of what's going on with your body. Okay, so the other piece is, wow, there's lots of stuff going on here. I definitely want to release this. On the shin splints, so same type of thing, right? If you've got, you can either use your roller, and we're just gonna roll. You can even do this with your fingers. Off a hand roller, you can do that. You can even roll the ball down. Yeah. Because what I'm going to show you now, you may not want to do if you're not super comfortable with it, because I will lay my whole body on it. But this right here, you can do just along here. You're just looking at the tissue. All of this is tissue. We're not on the bone. This is all tissue. Ooh, there's a spot right there. Okay, so you can go down there and you can find your own spots and do the same exact principles. About 10 to 30 seconds. If you found the spot, stay on it. Don't run away from it. Don't let it go. Breathe. And ideally, you would do a little bit of movement in there, because as soon as I started moving, I could feel that pain and it started wrapping. So that is all of that fascia, all of that tissue. And you're kind of giving yourself that deep tissue massage, and that's not a bad thing. But I'm going to show you what I do on this. It's just a lot harder because, of course, this is gravity and pressure. Whoa. So that exact pattern where I was with my foot, where I was with my fingers, I'm now using the ball and, of course, gravity and pressure. So as you roll on that, then you can move in range of motion. So wow, I've got a lot going on there. I wonder how it is for you. So that lower leg is amazing, and sometimes we completely neglect our feet and the lower part of our leg because, well, they're down there. We don't need to really mess with them, and yet, wow, they can really begin talking to us. So I've only been doing one leg, and I think I'm going to switch to the other leg right now and see how things are going for you. Comment and let me know how things are going. Don't really see too many comments there, but hopefully you're getting the idea with the foam roller and the tennis balls and your fingers. This is about kind of detangling tension patterns in the body. I want to keep it as simple as possible so that you understand it is simple, and the power of simplicity of just using the roller there. And then I wanted to show you the foot one. You can either do this seated at your desk on a chair, or we're going to do this here, and I'll show you if you can see my foot. And so there we go. We've got some good spots on the foot. With the feet, it's really interesting because I've done reflexology, and in studying reflexology, the feet are like maps of the entire body. So we don't really want to press so hard on the feet because it triggers other things. But we do want to be connected to the fascia. So for example, with plantar fasciitis, it tends to bunch up either behind the heel and it pulls so you can roll that area, or right at the arch. And so you'll just be really aware of that. And it's a personal thing. You want to be present to your body, breathing, staying relaxed, having a conversation with your body, having a gentle conversation. And it's not about forcing it. It's not about trying to punish your body. It's really just about getting to know it. And so good stuff here. Really, really good stuff on that. Do we take the time to listen to our body and roll it and move it? I think we need to. I think we really should. I'm a big fan of that. So when you set aside the time during the day to do some self-care, this is a great tool to have in your toolbox. Rolling that out, and if in a pinch you just you can use your fingers and roll that out. Roll and stretch your toes. Anything that, we wear shoes all day long, and if our feet are cramped or squished, that's also going to there's going to be a cause and effect, right? So we're going to have an effect that we may not like because we're doing things that are unnatural for our bodies. So just being mindful of that and seeing where you can make small, doable changes, small improvements throughout your day. So right now, I'm just rolling my foot, and this is kind of a personal thing where you want to be really mindful. You're not trying to create pain, so don't force, don't push so hard that you force pain. You'll know very gently. You'll just roll a little bit, and you'll know it's like, whoa, there's a lot going on the feet. And just using that to roll that out. Rolling the ball around. If you find a spot that's painful, we want to lower the pain down. How do you do that? You stay on it, breathe, and release that trigger point. That's usually how it's going to happen. Not necessarily pushing harder. It should go down pretty quickly if you found the right trigger. If you've hit a trigger point and you're not on a nerve. And it's just going to take some practice. Just be really gentle with yourself, and have it be something that it's just not that complicated. Listen to your body, tune into your natural intuition, and be like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't be on that right now because it's going numb. Yeah, that makes sense. I should get off that because we're on some nerve ending. So simple, common sense, right? We need more of that. All of us do, right? That's rhetorical. I absolutely need more common sense. Sometimes I forget that I'm not impervious. All right, let's see what our time is. It is, oh yeah, I've gone over time. Okay, so there's that whole scoop. Tomorrow we're gonna hit the hip flexor and hamstring. That's going to help that lower back. We don't have to do a lot of rolling on the low back. We wouldn't necessarily, but this area here, these muscles, the quadratus lumborum, we can get all of this tissue and roll that gently. We're not going to do too much of it, but we'll do the key points that hit that low back, that tend to pull on that low back. So that'll be the glutes, the hip flexor, and the hamstring that we'll hit tomorrow. In the meantime, 4 o'clock today, and I'm going to do higher energy, invigorating 12-minute workout. Okay, so be well, be safe, breathe, hydrate, send lots of love to yourself, receive lots of love from those that are vibrant and good, and stay connected to those good people. Okay, I'm thinking of you and sending a beautiful wave of energy over the earth, right? I know you're doing it with me. Okay, be well. Peace. Peace and blessings, and happy Tuesday.